Good evening. You're probably all wondering what will be the first words out of his mouth. So you're always told when you go to make a speech, you dig down deep inside, you take that breath, you go, good evening. Then you talk loud. I'm pleased to be here. And Jim, before I forget, let me just add my congratulations to having received that award. Good reward. And also to Jim Brood. Where's Jim? So, let me also thank you and your staff for what you've done. A good show. So thank you. And I also thank Jim because he gave me a script. And he told me to make sure that I follow the script. I am new. And of course, being new, there are a lot of things I'm expected to do. Not talk too much, certainly not know much, say yes to all requests, provide adequate funding, even though I do not have the budget, make a lot of promises, and make sure you leave the job before, well, you know the history of deans, so we won't go further. One of the things that drew me to Fairleigh Dickinson University was the Rothman Institute. I am a strong, passionate believer in entrepreneurship. I just want to go on record with saying that. I support it because it is what makes this world of ours the commerce king, makes this country of ours the commerce king that it is. Some of you may know I spent a year living in the People's Republic of China. I first visited China in 1988, and I've been going back once a year practically ever since that time. I've seen changes. I know what moves that country. It's that entrepreneurial spirit. I also know that we have to maintain that same entrepreneurial spirit lead we have in the U.S., or the world, especially China, will pass us by. I'm pleased to see our students here tonight because you represent the future of what our commerce engine will be driven by. So your efforts in the classroom, I'm sure, will pay off out there in the real world sooner or later. So to you students, keep at it. Keep at it. And I say to you students, entrepreneurial spirit says you do not take the road less traveled, saying, for granted. Make sure that you do not take that path that has been trodden many times in the past by others. As our speaker tonight, by his title, well, I'm sure echo, we want you, our students, to be the first on that road less traveled. Accept the risks and be assured that the opportunities are there. That's what I expect Silverwood College students to do. Jim told me that we have the largest turnout of any event in the 6-year history tonight. And immediately I thought, it's because of me that you're here. And then I found out who the speaker is, and I saw his background. And I guess I had a moment of, Alan Greenspan, irrational exuberance. So we're pleased to have one of our own here tonight, Peter Weedfald, thank you. Peter and I had a very nice conversation earlier tonight, and I'm just amazed at some of the things he's done in his background. And I'll mention more about that in a moment. I would be remiss if I did not also mention the Rothman Institute in terms of what it not only has done, but the future that I see it having as a part of the Silverman College of Business. I cannot imagine the Silverman College being without the Rothman Institute. Just cannot imagine. It has such great potential. But its potential cannot be realized without supporters, as mentioned by Jim. So for all of you who have supported, be it the full-time faculty, be it the part-time faculty, be it the students through your tireless efforts and your achievements, the donors, large and small, the business community, all the family fabric that make up the Rothman Institute. I applaud you for what you have done to elevate it to the status that it has attained so far. Being 20th says something. Being number 5 says even more. I'm convinced that we can achieve number 5. Sweat, yes. Effort, yes. Resources, yes. Achievements, yes. But I'm convinced to be beyond a shadow of a doubt that we can attain. And I pledge my support to bring that about. And I ask all of you to also join with us in helping put Silverman's Rothman Institute at an even higher position. By doing so, all of our votes will be raised. So I have that as one of my goals. I do not wish to stand here, of course, talk about all my goals, but I do want to let you know I'm here. And for those who are wanting to know, the Silverman College of Business will be your friend, your home, your partner. Our light will always be on for you. We will educate, communicate, partner, and above all, treat each and every one of you as a dear, cherished friend that you so deserve to be, and you are. So I'm pleased to be Dean of the Silverman College of Business. I know of no other academic position in administration that I would rather have. So when Jim asked me to speak tonight, and Peter, please forgive me for taking a moment of your time, I felt it my duty to let you know just how I feel about the Rothman Institute and the Silverman College, and how I feel about those who support it. It's a wonderful family. I'm pleased to be a part of it. It is also a pleasure to introduce successful people, and we have such a person with us tonight. In addition to being a successful business person, Peter Weedfald is also an FDU alumnus, and we're pleased to have him with us tonight, and I'm pleased to have said that. We welcome him back, not to speak, but we welcome him back home. Peter joined Circuit City in 2006 as General Merchandise Manager for all entertainment products and content. In that same year, he was promoted to Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer. Before he joined Circuit City, Peter held senior positions at Samsung Electronics America as Vice President, Strategic Marketing, North America, and as Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at Samsung North America. And by the way, Jim, when you mentioned iPhone, Peter mentioned that he can get you an iPhone for a $200 discount. Of course, he had a very successful career prior to joining Samsung, holding senior positions with ViewSonic Corporation, a worldwide provider of advanced display technology. His titles included Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer of Global Marketing and Product Marketing, as well as General Manager of Internet Appliances. Before joining ViewSonic, Peter worked at Ziff Davis Publishing, an integrated and online media company. Given his extensive and impressive background, he has many reasons to believe that opportunity is seldom labeled, which is the title of his talk with us tonight. Opportunity is seldom labeled. I ask you now to join with me to give a warm welcome back home, Peter, to Peter Weedfald. Peter?
Just have to tidy up for 1 second here. A few notes to put down over here. So, first of all, I'd like to say Jim Baroud has spent a lot of time trying to have me come out here and spend some quality time, and I'm very honored. And to Jim and to Bill, and where's Bill, who built the car wash plant? And there's about 92% of us in the room that have always wanted to own a car wash. Something about the profitability. We wonder, do you use the water again and again after it hits the car? You do. That's good. So I also, Willie, thank you for the very generous and spontaneous presentation of me presenting tonight. A couple of things I just wanted to mention before I get started. Number one, it's very interesting to listen to your life go by in an oration that takes about 5 to 6 minutes. So for all of you, I can imagine as you sat there, as you listened to the humility of my life, it must have been interesting to think about your own lives, number one. Number two, I have great humility in my life. I'm not a shrinking violet, but I do keep my ego parked at the door. And I'm really, really honored to be here tonight, and I can't overstate that. And Gina, thank you so much for sponsoring everything tonight, and God bless you and your husband. Sounds like you've had a great career for yourselves. We should give a round of applause again for doing this for us. And so let me begin the leadership benediction, if you will, or we could call it the entrepreneur benediction. So quick sidebar, just in case you're wondering, I'm not an oracle, I'm not an autocrat, I'm not a viceroy. My sagacity and wisdom is knee-deep. I have been honored to work for great men and build great teams of people, and I've spent my entire life acting like a leader so I could become one. I'm not sure when I'll become a leader, but I certainly want you to know that the intense sobriety I bring to myself and my team every day is one that allows my team never to be shackled in ignorance. I live in the cold steel of the P&L. That's what I do for a living. And I live for truth and justice, and to ensure that those who stand next to me, behind me, beneath me, around me, and above me have not only the dignity of knowledge, but understand the truth and justice of entrepreneurship. So I stand very honored to be here tonight, and because I'm not an oracle or an autocrat or a viceroy or any of those other things, I'll tell you why I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight because my brothers and sisters asked me to come here tonight. I'm here tonight because I graduated Fairleigh Dickinson University in 1976, and I had been honored to use the educational instruments that I've received, the docents who showed me the right way, and work very hard as an entrepreneur in business to try to drive many, many things. So before I touch on walking through the door of reasonable doubt, and that the very best opportunities lie in danger, because if the best opportunities didn't lie in danger, then we wouldn't be in this room tonight, and we would all be going out and doing whatever we want. And as a student of great authors like Tom Peters, who wrote In Search of Excellence, who told us that, you know what you should do as an entrepreneur leader in corporate America? You should take out a buzzsaw and chop off the back of your chair, because you shouldn't be sitting in it. You should be out with your customers. That's what he was saying about entrepreneurship. And Jeffrey Moore talked about crossing, oh, don't I have any notes to look at? Geoffrey Moore talked about crossing the chasm, if you remember that, and that there was the have and the have-nots from a technology standpoint, and those that were able to articulate and administer and navigate the technology would be anointed with wealth and growth. And of course, then there was another book that came out, the Blue Ocean book, which just frustrated the hell out of me. You know, one major thought. Here's what you should do. Come up with an idea that nobody ever came up with, and then you should go do it, and that's called Blue Ocean. And here's a whole book on examples. Starbucks. You get it? Starbucks went out, came up with a formula, and they're the only ones that are doing it, and they built competitive advantage, and no one's been able to follow them. I don't know how much credit I give that author. Where in God's name was Maxwell House? Where was chock full of nuts? Hello, sir? Yeah, we better start articulating demand for Maxwell House. Why is that? There's something called Starbucks. This guy is a harbinger. He's predicting he's going to have 6,700 Starbucks shops across America and suck the oxygen out of the air of our P&L. Excuse me, I'm having a lunch right now. I'm a little busy. So I want to talk about those things. I want to talk about daring to lead. I want to talk about articulating demand. And I thought to honor everyone tonight, I would do two things. One, I would give you a quick, fast rewind and fast forward of my life, which mirrors your lives from a technology standpoint. Sounds like fun, right? Oh, he's going to talk about technology. The second thing I would do is give you the 8 golden rules of entrepreneurship, says I. And who am I? Well, sometimes I'm shackled in ignorance. Sometimes I have willful ignorance. But I'll tell you one thing about who I am. First thing about me is I haven't had breakfast or lunch in 27 years. It is funny. I have avoided food because food slows me down. So I eat dinner, and I eat a normal dinner every day. And if you haven't had to go out and knock on doors and try to sell $21,000 word processors that do one application, which is word processing, when typewriters, the most expensive ones, were selling for $3,500, then you don't understand that you can't have breakfast or lunch, because God forbid if you got tired in front of the first prospect you got after knocking on 150 doors that day, and finally someone said, come on, sit down, I'll talk to you about it. Man, you better not be tired. You better not be off your game. So I train my body to not worry about food, and I eat once a day. The second thing I do is I haven't slept more than 4 hours in about 25 years. And the reason that I don't sleep more than 4 hours is that I actually read a book that if you're lucky you get 81 to 85 birthdays and then you sleep for the rest of your life, depending on where you think it is, heaven, dirt, whatever. And so I thought maybe I shouldn't be reticent about sleeping so I could be more aggressive and try to win as an entrepreneur. And those are personal problems of mine. Some people can't go without breakfast and lunch. I can. Is that the end of your speech, Peter? Is that what you came tonight to talk about? So let me do the rewind, the fast forward, and I'll talk about entrepreneurship. Does that sound like fun? Okay, I'm going to give you the 7 or 8 golden rules of entrepreneurship. Boy, they better be good. The first thing is, I grew up, and you all grew up, most of you, except for the young ones, in what we call the information economy. And I was blessed to work with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Ted Waite, who just sold his company Gateway to Acer. So Acer won again. You know the Gateway company with the cows? Yeah. And so in the information economy, what happened was 2 companies got together, 2 entrepreneurs. Bill Gates, who didn't graduate college, right? And somebody from Intel. Who can tell me who it was from Intel? Who? No. Andrew Grove. Oh, very good, sir. Thank you, sir. Andrew Grove. So Andrew Grove and Bill Gates got together and they created the Wintel architecture. And what was that? Well, we had all kinds of a confluence of factors. We had something called CPM, which was controlled programming for microprocessors. Nothing was working in this new PC platform. And then they got together and created the Wintel architecture, which is Windows and Tel for Intel. And they came out with the XT and went to the AT, and then went to the 386, and the 386 became the 386SX and the DX2, and then the 486 came out, which was the SX, and the 486 DX266, if you remember that one. And then we went to the Pentium level, and all of this went on. And all of us sat there and went, what the hell is that goddamn thing? Excuse my language, my brothers and sisters, but I'm not going to get on it. But you were trained and you were propagated, whether you wanted to or not, and the better entrepreneurs got it to want to go through the first 3 inches of the glass and change the view of the world and change how you could articulate and win and build competitive advantage. That was called the information economy. We then moved to the knowledge economy. The knowledge economy came out when the internet came out. And just in case you're not sure, the internet is Darwin on speed. It's the fastest unionization of push and pull on the planet. It is Darwin on speed. And as my friend Ryan would know, WinMax and WiMax and actually Internet 2 is going to even change our world even faster. When we have chips everywhere, just chips everywhere, it's going to be disgusting. I'm glad I'll be very old at that time. And everything is going to move so fast. But in the knowledge economy, what it said was everyone can have knowledge instantaneously. What do you want to know? Want to go to Paris and find out what street the Eiffel Tower is on? Do you want to know the formula for building an atom bomb? All of that came together in the speeds that you couldn't believe. And niggling, purse-proud, cheese-paring, bagatelle, borax brands that you never heard of suddenly started appearing. And then the whole dot bomb thing took place. It was amazing. It was amazing. I have friends, I must have 30, 40 friends who are retired or are multimillionaires because they worked for companies that had 40 employees that lost $18 million in 6 months, did an S1, went out and did the IPO, and guess what? They each walked away with 15, 25, $30 million on companies that never made a penny. In fact, all they did was lose money. And I was crying. You know why I was crying? Because young college students were coming out of college, entrepreneurs, and they banged into the knowledge economy, and they thought that's how you make money. You start an internet site, you lose money on the site, you go find investors and go, look. Can anyone remember some of those companies? Remember the company that had these refrigerator trucks driving all over the country? And you could have groceries delivered within an hour, you just had to go online? How about the other company? I can't remember the name, but they had big trucks too, and what they said was go to their website, buy anything, and we guarantee it'll be delivered within 1 hour. Who was it? Oh, somebody just coughed. That's what we'll call it. It's the company. So all that's gone. So that was the knowledge economy. But we've moved out of the knowledge economy. Now think of the entrepreneur, think of the student, think of the college student, think of all of us. We moved out from the information economy, knowledge economy. What economy are we in now? And forgive me for any of you, if you personally have this problem, if your family has it, I can't come up with a better handle, but I call it the ADD economy. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're not on a notebook, you're on a BlackBerry. If you're not on a BlackBerry, you're on a PC. If you're not on a PC, you're watching TV. If you're not watching TV, BlackBerry, notebook, and some other wireless device, you actually have a family. And we're addicted to it. You don't think so? Companies now are forcing executives to go away for a week, okay, in a retreat. And the only restriction is you can't have a BlackBerry, you can't have a notebook, you can't have a cell phone. People are losing their minds. So why is the ADD economy relevant to this conversation? Because that song written by the Guess Who many years ago, that, for those that remember, called I Got No Time, there is no time. And instead of my daughter going out to play tennis, she's on a Wii playing in her bedroom. Instead of young kids who might have been playing kickball, out there playing kickball, they're playing Darth Vader take over the world on a PC or on a little squawk box, you know, a PlayStation. And the technology keeps changing. New technologies are thundering out of warehouses at paces. The hyper-changing short product life cycles are destroying businesses and recreating other businesses. It's building entrepreneur opportunities that are almost beyond belief. But there are some basic rules and tenets to all of this. How do we abdicate danger? How do we ensure that our reservoir of knowledge is correct? How do we reconstitute a car wash or recongress a business plan around a car wash that allows us to change? How do you say you're building clothing? And is it Jason, who's not here, whose mom gets up and is all excited? It's Jason, right? I don't want to be disrespectful. So how do you do that? What is it? What's the kernel of that? How do you galvanize that? I say that the heck with this meeting tonight, Gina. I say we take the best entrepreneurs and the educators, the docents, and give blood. And give the entrepreneur blood out and be done with it. No more meetings. Here, take a little of this entrepreneur blood. God bless you. Next. What happened? So, I have been in situations as an entrepreneur where I have been neither predator nor prey. I have been dancing on the tip of a pin as an entrepreneur. I have been an apex predator as an entrepreneur. But I have done it with the benediction of being a Spartan, of being a proletarian, of being an individual that believes that we are all one people together and one team, and we should help each other. So, I think the concord of what I'm trying to express to you is that for somebody who works the kind of hours that I work, at the speeds and feeds that I work of, as a Section 16 officer of Circuit City, and who was the Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing and Supply Chain and every P&L you can think of for Samsung 7 years ago, where we were the niggling, purse-proud borax of the industry. You know, we had a $40 million CE business, and when I left, we were at $3.5 billion. We had a cell phone business, IT business, and visual display business that when I started, we were at $1.5 billion. When I left, we were at $21 billion. And when I started with Samsung, I said to my Korean brothers and sisters, in order to win as an entrepreneur, you have to have a stake in the ground. You have to have a goal. You have to augur. You have to have vista. The vista to look out and say, here's what we will become. So we put Sony on every wall of our building. But we didn't earn the right as an entrepreneur, as a young Korean company, to say, we shall take down Sony. How dare thy? How dare thy think you'll do that? And we didn't. But we knew we were dancing on the tip of a pin. We knew that no one even heard of the brand. When I said Samsung, people would say, oh yeah, I know Samsung. Samsonite, right? The luggage company? No. So you set your marks. You decide what you want to become. You act like the leader with intense sobriety every single day. You walk through the door of reasonable doubt. And that's when opportunity is seldom labeled. Nobody came to me. Nobody came to Bill. Nobody came to the beautiful three women who came up here. I actually wrote your names down. Don't tell me. I remember Christine, right? Who else? It was Christine. Come on, help me. Nicole. And? That's right, Stacy. So, I remember. And right now somebody is leaning over on the table going, what the hell is this guy talking about? I thought he was going to talk about Circuit City or Samsung or something. No, we're talking about education, academia, and the power of translating that into entrepreneurship. And please don't tell me entrepreneurship is all about starting a company from anew. It's not just about fresh lettuce. It's about organizations that you go into and you look that the lettuce is stale and you know that you can fix it. That's the power of entrepreneurship. Just like, Ryan, you started your company. Ryan knew that he could do a better job in delivering the power of the internet to sell and build B2B, B2C commerce in a better way. And that's why we want his blood. So, not to bore you to death, but I have the unbridled thrill to stand before you tonight as your brother, an alumni of Fairleigh Dickinson University, and someone who believes in entrepreneurship and someone who believes in education. And so I say to you, there are eight basics that I believe if you want to dare to lead, if you want to build a covenant with the power of success and leadership, I believe that these are the foundations that when cemented in your own benediction, you will be successful. But before I do that, let me give you the true entrepreneur benediction from the cold steel of business. My name is Peter Weedfald. I shall persist until I succeed. I was not put on this earth to be prodded by my shepherds. I refuse to lay down with the lamb. I am a lion, and my sonorous and helpful watch, attacks, and kindness will allow me to never lay down. I shall persist until I succeed. So for those of you that are entrepreneurs, I know you wanted to jump out of your chairs and applaud because I was talking about you. The blood of failure does not course through your veins. You do not understand when someone says, honey, you really shouldn't do, how much money is that going to cost? No, you should get a job in a company. You should go do, you put the granite wall up. You tell them, you see this? This is a granite wall. You see that fissure right there? That's the door of reasonable doubt. I'm about to walk through it. You can dance and sing and praise me or support me, or you can just know that I love you, and I'll be back when I get it done. So here they are. Number one, you must take the tallow out of your business thinking. Number one is business judgment. You must have empirical, urbane business judgment 24 hours a day to be an entrepreneur. And what is business judgment? Business judgment is based on your ability to juxtapose one situation, one offer, one opportunity. It is a chance for you to park your ego at the door and make decisions on business attributes, not emotional attributes. So business judgment. The second part or rule of great entrepreneurship, in my humble opinion, is critical thinking. You must possess the power of critical thinking. You must be able to stare down the cold steel of a P&L. Understand, if you think you can do this, prove it to yourself. Prove that you're correct. Be a subject matter expert and use the power of critical thinking to make the right decisions, and that will give you the will, the means, and the need to be successful. The third, in my humble opinion, is sales motivation. I'm sorry if you think sales is a bad word. I feel for you, okay? I feel for you. But I am a triple black belt in the language of salesmanship. I studied, I got my face kicked in, I got my teeth ripped out. I went to church in between sales calls to pray to God for strength not to close a deal. I got my butt kicked, and I'm proud of it. And if you're not motivated to sell, then you're not going to make it as an entrepreneur. I'm sorry to tell you that. And I articulate selling as what I call the fire in the belly. And for those of you that have the fire in the belly, you know you can't rent the fire in the belly. You can't lease the fire in the belly. You can't fake the fire in the belly. You can't take the blood out of another person who has the fire and put it in your veins. You either have it or you don't. So this checkup from the neck up is one that I use to not only help motivate those who want to be entrepreneurs, but also save those who might think they want to be entrepreneurs, but don't have what it takes. The fourth is sales comprehension. It's not good enough to be motivated to sell. You've got to have comprehension and understand. How do you move the chess pieces around? What is my best way to stand and deliver and explain the value of this product to either someone I want to partner with, somebody I want to sell to, someone I want to be my customer? Because relevancy and sales comprehension is a golden rule of great entrepreneurship. Anyone agree? Peter, thanks for giving us a fleeting glimpse of the obvious this evening. You're welcome. The fifth or sixth. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, sir. So, you know, I love to quote all these. I have pretty good muscle memory, believe it or not. I've been blessed with, you know, having a couple of hard drives and a couple of little clinkers up there too. But I love Albert Einstein's quote. I think it's one of the most relevant quotes for entrepreneurs, and it's rule number 5. And what he said, and it actually hangs in my office with his photo, And it says, creativity and imagination is more important than knowledge. Creativity and imagination is more important than knowledge. This man, who is a polymath, says that creativity and imagination is more important than knowledge. So the rule 5 is creativity. It's not good enough just to have great business judgment and great critical thinking and sales motivation and sales comprehension. You've got to be creative. And you've got to be creative that's relevant to the market you think you're going to serve. Because if you're not creative and you don't deploy imagination, you can never walk through the door of reasonable doubt. Opportunities which are seldom labeled lie in danger. You can't get past the danger. You can't spin past the danger without creativity and imagination. The next rule, and I'm honored to tell you, as part of the family, and this is on record, I, with a team of people, right after 9/11, and I was in New York City for 9/11, and because I told you how animalistic I am as a proletarian, a worker, I work too many hours. I have been married for 29 years, happily married, and I love my wife very much. But when I was there during 9/11, I quit my job. I was in the city. I was 10 blocks away. I lived through it. I probably ingested some of the things that are not good for you to ingest. And I quit my job and went home. And the reason was I didn't see my wife enough for all those years, or my child, because I was sacrificing my blood to drive businesses for people in the spirit of being an entrepreneur. And anyways, the reason I bring that up was right after 9/11, I created a philanthropy program called the 4 Seasons of Hope. It's actually called Samsung's 4 Seasons of Hope because I joined Samsung about 6 months afterwards. And I went out to Arnold Palmer and built a philanthropy program around the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital down in Orlando. I sit on the board of directors of the Boomer Esiason Foundation, so I help Boomer and his son Gunnar, who has cystic fibrosis, build their foundation. I sat down with Joe Torre and Ali Torre out in New York, Westchester, and I helped them build his charitable organization. And it happened to be, the first name was Joe Torre's Foundation for Margaret, who's his mother. And it's about domestic violence because his dad, who was a policeman, used to beat his mom and beat the kids up pretty bad, and it was his mother almost died. Anyways, the new name of the charity is called, and I coined it for him, Safe at Home. More relevant, right? Safe at Home, Joe Torre, right? Good, thank you. Creativity, remember the creativity part? Yeah. I also sit on the board of Curtis Sliwa's Guardian Angels, so I'm very close with Curtis. I'm a trustee with Rudy Giuliani at St. Vincent's Hospital in New York, so I do a lot of charitable work to help St. Vincent's Hospital. And I know I'm leaving somebody out. Oh, John Bon Jovi. John Bon Jovi became the official music of the 4 Seasons of Hope, and I help him with a multitude of funds. He believes in this fund that he created, take from the rich and give to the poor, so he likes to be Robin Hood. It's called the Robin Hood Bon Jovi Foundation. But what's the point? So I started that whole idea, built it up over time, and raised $10 million for children. Everything is focused on children. Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital, domestic violence for children, Boomer Esiason for cystic fibrosis, even Dan Marino. I brought Dan Marino, and I forgot about that. You know, his son has got autism. So he's got a hospital down in Florida that's Dan Marino Hospital for Autism. And brought them all together and built this thing and raised $10 million over 5 years. So rule number 6, and Gina knows this rule because she's here tonight and sponsored it, and many of you do, and many of you give back, and many of you help people in the communities you do business in and where you grow up in your churches and synagogues. Rule number 6 is the spirit of generosity. The spirit of generosity must be part of a great entrepreneur. Rule number 7 is harnessing the power of rejection. Harnessing the power of rejection. Harvard Business Review wrote an article back in 1986 about salesmen and why salesmen fail. And if you are trying to separate the word entrepreneurship from salesmanship, and you all agree that I'm incorrect, thank you for having me here tonight. But entrepreneurship to me is all about selling an idea, selling a concept to somebody, and then following through. So rejection. And so what it said in the article was the number one reason that 89% of all salespeople fail in their first year is they can't handle rejection. Can't handle it. And as we get older and older, rejection is like a word that sounds like something from the 1940s. Because no child goes without a color TV and an iPod and a PC and other devices and clothing, at least not in our ranks. So we must teach how to handle rejection. A simple example is objection. Sir, I'd like to have you go ahead and place this order. No, says he. An objection in the language of being a umbrella carrier, a card-carrying umbrella carrier of rejection. An objection is a request for more information. He said no because I asked him the wrong way. I didn't use great business judgment. I didn't use critical thinking to understand the relevancy of his business and how I could help him. My sales motivation was weak at best. I had breakfast and 2 lunches before I met with him. My sales comprehension. I thought that if I presented this product, he'd go gaga for it. I was wrong. I could have won if I presented this product. How shameful of me. And when an objection comes up, you can handle it when it comes up. You can push it to the side, or you can handle it later. You know, Ryan, I really appreciate you bringing it up. I'm going to talk about that in about 5 minutes because it's more relevant to the back end of the discussion. What else do you feel about the proposal? I'm back in command. Rule number 7 of entrepreneurship, questions are the answers. You write this one down. Questions are the answers. You control the power of being an entrepreneur by controlling the power of the question. My good friend, who is an attorney, who I met this evening, will tell you that that's what attorneys and lawyers do. That's what doctors do. You control by asking questions. Want a simple example? You go to the doctor and you got a pain. And the doctor says to you, hey, you got a pain, right? Yeah, where's the pain? Oh, it's right over here. Really? And how did that happen? Oh, I don't know. I was lifting something up and this pain came. That's interesting. And how do you think you could get better? Gee, I'm not really sure. That's why I came here today. Well, do you think if I gave you some painkillers it would help? Yeah, I think some painkillers. You know, I had this once before. I think the painkillers would really help. Great, thank you very much. That's $122 and see the nurse. You control by asking questions. So if you can't do that, you're not going to make it. And then finally, in my humble opinion, and you bring it all together, and you build the window, and you build this covenant, it's about the pylon. It's always been about the pylon. The pylon is the great opening. The pylon is being able to augur where you're going with this great entrepreneurship idea. The pylon is being able to be a harbinger and say, here's my 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, here is a decade view into where I'm going. And by the way, when you make that case in your business plan, which of course, great business plans include market conditions, correct? It includes what buyers you're going to go after, even with your car wash. Well, I'm looking for pernickety buyers and persnickety buyers who, by the way, won't scotch me because my prices are too high. So you have to know your market, you have to know who your buyers are, you have to understand what your competition is up to, what they have, right? So you can figure out to do something they don't have. You've got to have a KPI, key performance indexes. You've got to have a P&L. I'm sorry to tell you that. You've got to have a P&L, and it's got to show gross margin and profit and revenue and disciplines. But you must have the pylon, because the business plan is incomplete if you can't say to me, well, I'm going to open up this first car wash. We're going to lose this much money in the first year. I've got 3 angel investors who'll carry me. And the reason they're willing to carry me is in year 3, when we get to 22 car washes, and in year 9, when we have 47 car washes, and oh, by the way, in year 9, we'll have 260 trucks on the road. They're going to go out to people's homes because nobody goes out to people's homes to wash their cars. There's a blue ocean opportunity. Now, that's a pylon. So, final rule. It's called the rule of Troika, the trilogy rule. Think of a thread. All the way to the right, complexity is the refuge of the unsure. All the way to the left, consistency is the refuge of the unsure. When people don't know what to do, they make it complex. And they make people all around them go crazy because it gets too complex and it's broken. When people don't know what to do to build a pylon, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I know, 500 people have been quoted, do the same thing over and over again, and that's called stupidity. Complexity is the refuge of the unsure. Consistency is the refuge of the unsure. The parabolic curves bring you to the cynosure of true entrepreneur leadership. And that is the rules that I just talked about. When you have great business judgment, great critical thinking, great sales motivation, great sales comprehension, you understand how to handle rejection, you understand the spirit of generosity and giving to others, and you understand the importance of the pylon and the business plan, then you're a great entrepreneur. So it's hard for you to believe how surreal this is for me, how restful this is for me. If you could see my daily life, I come in at 5:30 every morning without fail. I work till 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, go home and have a tuna fish sandwich. That's my one meal. Sometimes I cheat. I try to eat cereal with a tuna fish sandwich. I know it sounds disgusting. All right? Not potato chips. And I love what I'm doing. And I'm blessed to have gone to Fairleigh Dickinson University. I'm blessed that so many people have put trust in me. And I'm blessed to be with winners tonight. All of you are winners, especially those that had a chance to come up on stage. And I got to tell you why you're winners. It's because you believe in yourself and you believe in the future of what you're capable of doing, and you believe in this man, Jim, who's driving this incredible program of entrepreneurship. Thank you very much for your time. God bless everybody. Jim says I have to take 2 questions. This is like being back at school. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's, God bless you for asking. When you see people hurling their bodies out of windows, when you watch a building that I've been in more times than I could possibly ever remember, I've been up to the top of having breakfast up there, and you see people perishing like that. And then you see the outcry of love and affection of one human being for the other. Just nobody even thinking about why they should go help. Is their responsibility to help? I have to tell you a quick secret. The company I was working for in New York, we closed the building down, obviously. We closed the next day, and then we opened up. I think it was Friday we reopened. I would say if there were 200 people supposed to come to the office, only about 80 showed up. And we couldn't understand. We got worried maybe somebody died. You know what it turned out to be? Over 100 of our employees just decided not to come to work and went down to the World Trade Center, and some of them were bringing gallons of water. Some of them was just bringing their sweat and their blood and their heart to try to help. Just an outpouring of help and generosity. So what that taught me, that opportunity, Magic Johnson, that was the last one. Magic Johnson, I worked very closely with him when HIV, I was just thinking about it because he's working with Best Buy now, so Circuit City Best Buy. But the reason that I say that to you is I believe that what I learned from that experience is that hope, H-O-P-E, hope, is not a strategy. Hoping that someone will be lifted from the pile, hoping that someone will be saved, hoping that someone will learn how to be an entrepreneur, hoping that anything happens in our short lives, and we're only here for a short visit, for crying out loud. Hope is not the strategy. The strategy is rolling up your sleeves and helping your brothers and sisters and finding a way, and that's what I saw those few days. I saw an outpouring of hope and spirit and generosity that will live with me forever. That's it. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, what's your name again? Mark Keene. I'm sorry, I apologize. Mark and I had a wonderful chat, and I felt so bad when I couldn't say his name. Mark, I got it now. Mark.
Peter, your talk is inspiring.
Thank you, sir.
Well, to me, what I see is your 8 basic points have a threshold requirement of fire and development. Dean Moore, talking about China, what I see in China is for every person, for every student in this country, there's 100 over there that have fire and development. And there's 100 here that don't have fire in the belly. How do we get the fire in the belly for the masses that don't have it?
Mark, that is a great question. And the only way I can answer that, and it really is a great question, I think our educational institutions are working as hard, but I think our cultures are so different. You know, Willie was mentioning his time in China. I've spent more time in Taipei and Seoul and Korea. Man, I've eaten food that moves, trust me. It's tough. I've been a good boy. But the point is the culture is so different, to be frank with you. Our culture is almost on a caste system. You know, if you're going to Harvard Business School, Yale, Princeton, that's a sort of a cultural caste right there. If you go into these schools, there's another cultural caste. In China, they don't have that. It doesn't matter if you went to the Poo-Poo School or the University of Beijing. It doesn't matter. Every child has the same culture. They are going to win, they are going to study, they are going to educate, and they have Penelope, they can talk multiple languages, and it's a culture. So the only way I can answer it, and I'm very forlorn about it, if I had my way, Mark, if I had my way, and I could stop what I'm doing, I would spend the rest of my life trying to go all over the country and explaining that you as a leader, you as a manager, you as an educator, you having any responsibility for anybody who works for you, you have passion, and you have intense sobriety, and you have all the things I talked about, entrepreneurship, or go home. Because if we don't instill that in our children and those people next to us and around us and underneath us, if we don't instill that culture of winning and the culture of leadership and the demand for it, it's going to be tough. But Mark, to one last point, you know the old proverb, once the tree is bent, you can't bend it back. In China, in Korea, in Japan, it's a culture thing that starts at such a young age that's so dynamically enlisted in an embodiment of who they are and how they train themselves and how they look at being an entrepreneur that it would be difficult to even, I can't even comprehend it. It's just beyond belief. And I meet those families. It's beyond belief. And we need to get that instilled back. So the really good news is the place to do it's right here. Right here. Entrepreneurship, this university, Jim doing a great job, Willie coming on board. How many days? 30 what? 38. So I commit to do what Mark asked us to do, to help better build the culture around me and around the young and the old to want to go out and have the spirit of winning and bring as many people along as we can. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Peter. And I thought you were going to say blood transfusion. In the past 11 years, I've heard a lot of speeches, and that is one of the most inspirational and effective speeches. So thank you for that. I'd like to call Dean William Moore up to give you a little gift. Stay right there. We'll take a picture. This is a gift to remember us by, and we know you have a million plaques on your wall, so we didn't want to bother you with one more. And then one more plaque. This plaque is going to go up in our lobby, and it has all the names of our previous speakers. And here you go, one more. And while you're doing that, I'll just say, you know, I was inspired when I heard Peter talking about sales, rejection, and persistence, because I made a cold call 2 years ago, and he answered the phone, trying to get a partner for some program. And he said no. He rejected me, and I persisted. And 2 years later, he is here. So, and that speech is, I think, more important than any type of partnership that I was seeking 2 years ago. So it just goes to show that persistence is very important. So I'd like one more round of applause for all the winners, all the students, all the alumni here tonight. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend. We look forward to seeing you soon.